Hi, everyone. This is Jack Allwell with another Money episode. Today, we have special guest Ryan Horn from Profits and Points on social medias, Profit and Point on X/Twitter. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Hey, Jack, how are you doing? Thanks for having me today.
I'm doing great. So, Ryan, before we get into profits and points and travel miles, credit card points, I like to start off the conversation by asking, what was your relationship with money like growing up?
Yeah, so my relationship with money, I would say, was mostly positive. I had parents that were very, very frugal. So it was positive in the fact that I learned from a young age to save and to plan for my future. On the other hand, though, they were very frugal to the point of I had a weird relationship where I didn't want to let go of money. I didn't want to spend on things that maybe I should have just spent the money on. So yeah, it was more positive, I'll say, than a lot of other people, but I feel like there were a few things there that affected me later in life as far as letting go of money.
Mm-hmm. So were they, I guess, instrumental in you developing a liking towards the points and miles?
100%. My mother, she's never been into credit card points or miles herself, but she was really into gas points growing up.
Okay.
And all the grocery points and couponing and all that. And I feel like that is a very similar mentality to a lot of the people that are really into the credit card points and miles game, that kind of frugality and being able to get something that you don't have to spend any money on. So
Interesting. Okay, so let's get into it. So I guess big wide view, macro view, what types of trends are you seeing with different credit cards and airlines right now?
yeah, absolutely. So I got into the points and miles game over a decade ago, and it was a lot more niche back then. Not many people were doing it. People were happy to get their 1% back on a credit card, but now it's exploded. There are social media accounts talking about this stuff. A lot more people are in this game. And with that kind of come two things. Number one, on the earning side, credit cards are much more willing to offer benefits on credit cards. They're much more willing to offer 2, 3, 4 times points on credit cards because they know people are interested in it and they'll use it. We can talk a little bit later about kind of the pitfalls of that, but people are more interested and people are aware now. So it's more available. But on the flip side, on the reward side, so say you're redeeming your points for a award flight, there is much less availability and a lot fewer chances to really go the mile on the redemption side. So that's kind of the positive and the negative of it. It's been awesome watching it grow over the years and seeing other people join the hobby that I love so much, but it makes it harder now. There's a
Mhm.
lot fewer sweet spots as a result.
So I saw one of your videos and you were kind of talking about how some of the rewards have been devalued. I don't know, is it
Mhm.
just when they get you locked in? It's kind I mean, we talk about inflation, but I guess there's also inflation with points too.
Yeah, and that's the perfect comparison is in inflation, is that the points are not going up over time, the value of them. They are not getting more valuable. They are always going down, much like inflation is affecting the dollar. The difference is when it comes to the dollar, you can invest that and grow that over time. Your points balance, you can't invest it. It's not going to grow just by you letting it sit there. So to combat devaluation, my thing is spend them. That's what they're there for. They're there for you to travel. And there are so many people that are just sitting on like a million points and they've never spent it ever. Those are getting less valuable over time. You might as well use them for a vacation.
Interesting. Are you someone that like hops between the different deals, or have you kind of found a system that works for you, certain credit card, or kind of maybe go through like what programs you're in right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in all of them. I feel like I have a good system. So there's several different types of people, and there's no right or wrong way to approach it. There are people that are, and there are a lot of them now ever since this has become more popular, the credit card sign up bonus chaser. So the idea that you can spend $4,000 in 6 months on a credit card and get 100,000 points right off the bat. That's certainly a legitimate way to go and chase points. There are other people like myself that have been in it for a little bit longer. Yes, I will still chase sign up bonuses. But at this point, I have a good system between Amex, Chase, Citi, Capital One, where I have certain credit cards for certain things. So I know if I'm in a restaurant, for example, I'm going to pull out my American Express Gold card because that gets me 4 times points on everything. That's my best earner for that. If I am buying something online and it's not necessarily a bonus category, I'm going to pull out one of my 2 times cards. So my favorite right now for that is the Capital One Venture X. I get 2 times on everything. So yeah, there's different levels to it, definitely, to answer your question. How much you want to chase sign-up bonuses, how many cards you have in your arsenal, and how you kind of leverage those. So yeah, I have over the years hopped from deal to deal, but at other times I kind of slow it down and just rely on what I already have.
I guess for people that are like really new, and I honestly I don't really think too much about this stuff. I mean, I have an American Airlines card just because I live in Charlotte. There's an American Airlines hub there. That's kind of how I got that card. But a point on like when you say points, like is a point on like Amex versus Chase versus Capital One, are they, can we think of them as like equivalent, or is a point at Amex different than a point at Chase?
So they're different in the fact that you can redeem them for different things. So each bank, American Express, Chase, whoever else, they have transfer partners. So for example, with American Express, you can transfer your points over to Delta, for example.
Oh,
Chase, you can't transfer to Delta, but you can transfer to United and Southwest. So there's a difference in valuation based on who you can transfer to. And that's a lot of the gamemanship there of going across multiple banks too. So there's a difference in value, but for anyone that's just getting into this, that's way too complicated. Most people don't need to know point values. 1 cent per point. If you can do better than 1 cent per point, you're doing a good job. I know people that are hardcore about it try to get 5-10 cents per point on their travel, but if you're getting more than 1 cent per point for most people, you're doing great. Don't
okay.
stress too much about it. I think a lot of people see what people are doing in this hobby and they get overwhelmed because there are a lot of hardcore people out there,
Uh-huh.
myself included. I'm pretty hardcore, but I think most people can just have a few credit cards in their wallet, know which ones to use at the right time, and you're going to get a free vacation without having to figure out point values and do all these different things.
So when someone's starting out, what would you suggest? What like resources, maybe you have something on your website, or how would someone get started to kind of identify what credit cards are the best for their spending habits?
For sure. There are a ton of blogs and social media accounts out there. I know it's very generic, but the points guy has been around for years and years now. He has been publishing, well, it's a company now. They've been publishing a bunch of good stuff, everything from which credit cards may apply to you to different deals, et cetera. That's a great place to start. But once you start looking at someone like the points guy, I would expand out. There's a bunch of Instagram accounts out there. They're all over social media now. Lots of blogs. Yeah, there are lots of resources out there. And I very much pride myself and what I share on social media, and I think it should be accessible to everyone. So you'll never see me launching a course or anything because I think all the information is out there. It's just about getting the right information for you and using it.
I think I'd like to switch gears a little bit. You also posted a video a while ago about long-term stay rates. And I think on the video you had said like you got basically 5 nights for less than what it was for 3 nights, something to that effect. Can you kind of walk us through those different types of rates that you're finding?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're booking a hotel, you've probably noticed when you go directly to like Marriott or Hilton site or whatever, you'll see where you can book and then you'll see different rates. So there's like the AARP rate, the AAA rate. And I found this long-term stay rate recently, and it's not at every hotel. I would say it's not even at half of the hotels, but it's worth trying. And if you book for a certain number of nights, it'll give you a lower rate than if you were to book for only a few nights. So I found it at a hotel in Asheville, North Carolina, and I started exploring more, and it seems like they're pretty available out there. Usually they trigger around 5 to 7 days, and they're usually hidden. I've noticed that too, and that when you first go to the site, you're not going to see that it's available unless you actually try to book X number of days. So yeah, I was able to get 5 nights for cheaper in total than 3 nights at that same hotel. And a good tip with rates that was not in that video about long-term stay rates, but the AARP rate is actually pretty good too. And AARP is open to everyone. You don't have to be 65 to join AARP, and it's only available for a few dollars a year. You can get some incredible hotel rates and redemptions using AARP, an AARP membership. I have been a proud member of AARP since I was 22, just because you get so many discounts at different places.
So for people that don't really know what that is, what actually is AARP?
So it's an organization that has traditionally been targeted towards the older generations, the
Okay.
baby boomers that are retired, and you can join it and get discounts at chain restaurants, hotels. I think certain airlines have it. And honestly, it seems like it's mostly a promotional company. So they get you as a member and then they promote you Medicare services and all this other stuff. But a lot of people don't realize, they just think, oh, that's for older people. No, anyone can join AARP. And a lot of hotels and other companies have rates that long ago may have been a senior rate, but they replaced it with the AARP rate.
Awesome. So some of the travel like seminars that you go to, it looked like you go to some conferences or seminars. Like can you give us like, I don't know, some tidbits or really cool knowledge that you've gained from one of your last conferences?
For sure. Yeah. So I recently, the Asheville trip I just mentioned, I was recently at the Travel More conference in Asheville, North Carolina, which was run by a pretty big influencer. Her name is Ashley Peterson. She's wonderful. But a lot of these events are just people coming and sharing their different travel hacks, their redemptions, and all that sort of thing. So the coolest thing, I'll give an example. At this most recent conference, the coolest thing I learned was about round the world tickets. And I
Okay.
knew these existed previously, but I have never booked one myself because it seems incredibly complicated, but it's not as complicated as you think. And it's the idea that for 150,000 points, there's a chart that depends on a lot of things, but we'll just say rough estimate 150,000 credit card points. You can book a ticket around the world up to multiple segments in business class, which is crazy because people spend that on a round trip domestic flight. It is complicated and people don't know about it, but it involves calling an airline. The one we were looking at was ANA, and you can book a certain number of countries over a certain number of days. And there are different kinds of rules. The reps are apparently very, very helpful and they'll help you walk through it. But for example, you can only go one way around the world. You can't go like zigzag throughout the world. But yeah, just cool like things that you don't see people talking about online, like the around the world ticket. I had never seen anyone actually redeem one of those. I knew they existed, but I thought it was just some sort of myth. And then I met multiple people who have booked them. So yeah,
Wow.
lots of cool tidbits that you wouldn't see online. And I mean, that's in any industry, just by meeting people and their stories, you can learn a lot.
Cool. Do you happen to know if there's like a time limit on that round the world ticket? Like, do you have
Yeah,
to,
it's
yeah,
1 year. So you can
1 year?
actually kind of manipulate it where you don't have to like go all the way around. You could
Uh-huh.
use half of it now and then somehow make your way back to that location later on in the year and finish it out. So
Wow. That is definitely worth looking into. That sounds
yeah,
very
for sure.
cool. What other like any other trends you're seeing with airlines perhaps?
Yeah, status is a big one, a big topic as of lately. As of late, airline status is very much changing from how much you're actually flying to how much you're spending. So, American Airlines, United, Delta, most recently, to a lot of controversy, they're focused on how much you're spending on the airline now, how much you're spending on that credit card. So, status these days may not be worth chasing for a lot of people, whereas years ago it may have been worth chasing because you get free upgrades, you get all these other things. I tell a lot of people now that if you want to sit in business class, you want to sit in first class, oftentimes it's a better deal to just pay for that with points and miles versus actually trying to chase status, because you'll spend a lot more money over the long run the way these airline loyalty programs are changing.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, Ryan, as we're winding down, I do like to ask everyone, what's the best and worst personal finance advice you've either heard or received? You can make it as fun or as serious as you'd like.
The best personal finance advice I've ever received, I feel like, is a simple one, but so many people don't do it. Save more than you spend, right? Right? Like, I think everyone knows that piece of advice. Everyone's been told that hundreds of times, but it's a crazy how many people in this country do not follow that, right? And I know there are extenuating circumstances for some people, and there's a lot going on in our country right now, but yeah, if you can, save a little bit every month. As far as worse financial advice, I would say I see a lot of this as someone who is making content on Instagram and TikTok. I'll say the worst piece of advice I've seen recently, well, we'll relate it to credit card points and miles, the idea of shifting around debt on 0% cards and just hitting as many sign-up bonuses as possible and then worrying about it later because it's on a 0% card. You're not paying any interest right now. My biggest piece of advice for anyone that wants to get into points and miles: do not carry any debt. If you carry any debt on any of your credit cards, you are paying more to the credit card company than you were getting back in points and miles. This is not for someone that has any sort of consumer credit card debt. You need to pay off your credit card bills in full every month. We're trying to take advantage of what the credit card companies are giving us, not paying them. So yeah, that's a big point of contention I have in the points and miles world. Is it's not for everyone. It's cool to get free vacations, but if you're not able to pay your credit card bills off in full every month, it's not worth it. Wait till you are able to do that before you going down this road.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you just said made me think, have you ever felt torn? Like, oh yeah, like because I get the points, like I like feel compelled to spend. Like I'm curious, have you ever gone a period of time where you haven't had a credit card and just tried maybe compare how you're spending related to when you had the credit cards? Have you noticed anything like that or experienced anything?
I think if anything, it's made me more frugal being in this hobby.
Interesting.
Yeah, the idea, like, yes, I have a ton of credit cards, and I know there are the studies out there that say by using credit cards you end up spending more. But I feel like inherently, circling back to something I said earlier, a lot of people in the points and miles world are very frugal. We're getting free vacations and not paying anything except for taxes and fees. So I feel like the deeper I've gotten into it, the more frugal I've become. Not saying that's the case for everyone, though. Definitely people need to be careful, especially if they're trying to hit a sign-up bonus. I think that's the point that gets a lot of people into trouble. I have to spend $6,000 in 3 months to get this sign-up bonus. Okay, I'm gonna just spend extra to get there. And I would recommend that people only chase sign-up bonuses if they know they're going to spend that much money naturally. Time it around big purchases, for example. If you got home improvements, then maybe the time to go chase a sign up bonus versus just jumping on a sign up bonus and then saying, oh crap, I gotta spend all this money now.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. Yeah, it's made you more frugal. That's, yeah, very interesting. Well, Ryan, I've enjoyed talking to you. Why don't you tell the listeners where they can go learn more about you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I post most of my content on Instagram at Profits and Points. I also have a TikTok, a YouTube channel, and on Twitter /X, I am at Profits and Point because they wouldn't let me have an extra character on my handle. But I post all those places. I post the latest deals, hack, credit card sign up bonuses, anything else. So feel free to DM me whenever. I answer every DM that comes my way as well. So more than happy to help as people are getting on this journey.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.